Thinking of exiting your business or taking on a private equity partner to help you grow faster? BizNexus has you covered. Tap into our network of thousands of best-fit investors, acquirers, and proven M&A advisors, and we'll help you begin the relationship confidentially on your terms, your timeline. Learn more at biznexus.com.
Disclaimer from the always present legal team. Podcast conversations don't necessarily reflect the views of BizNexus Incorporated. Everything you hear is informational news and updates from around the industry. We're not recommending any investments. We're not offering any investment advice. Be sure to do your own homework.
Mergers of acquisitions, especially in the lower middle market, they can feel a bit like navigating a minefield, can't they?
Oh, absolutely.
You're focused on the big stuff, strategy, financials. But underneath all that, there's this really intricate IT integration piece.
Yep. And it can make or break the deal, honestly.
It really can. We're talking about those crucial M&A IT projects.
And for these, smaller businesses, the margin for error on the IT side, it's just so thin.
Right. A big IT mistake could be really devastating, much more than for a giant corporation.
Definitely. They just don't have the same cushion.
Okay, so let's dive in. Today, we're really getting into the essential IT projects for any M&A activity, but with a real focus on that lower middle market.
And we're drawing heavily on the expertise shared by 𝙈𝙀𝙍𝙬𝙍 over at Scaled Solutions Group, LLC.
Exactly. Our mission here is simple. Give you the critical info you need, nice and clear, so you get what matters without getting totally bogged down in tech jargon.
Right. So where do you even begin? Well, the very first thing, maybe even before the deal is totally finalized, is understanding the IT you might be inheriting.
That's the IT due diligence and risk assessment part.
Precisely.
And think of it like getting an IT checkup on the company you're looking at. Scaled Solutions Group really stresses this. The goal is evaluating their IT setup, spotting risks, figuring out compatibility.
All before you're locked in.
Yes. For lower middle market companies, you just can't skip this. You don't want some IT nightmare sucking up resources later.
No way. So what's involved in that checkup? Well, a big piece is looking at their current infrastructure, servers, networks, hardware, the nuts and bolts.
Okay.
But also the software, the applications they use day to day. And then really importantly, their security. How good is it? Are there holes?
And it's not just the tech itself, is it? Scaled Solutions Group points out you've got to dig into things like software licenses, IT vendor contracts.
Oh, yeah. Are there hidden costs lurking in there?
Oh.
Or weird terms?
Exactly. For smaller companies, those ongoing costs can seriously mess with the deal's ROI.
No doubt. And then there's data governance. How do they handle their data? Are they compliant with, say, GDPR or IPAY, if that applies?
Even smaller companies need to worry about that stuff sometimes.
They do. And just their overall cybersecurity posture. Inheriting weak security is just asking for trouble these days. It can get very expensive very fast.
Now, a big driver for M&A, especially in this market space, is finding efficiencies, right?
Sure is.
So Scaled Solutions Group says this due diligence is also your chance to spot, overlapping tech where both companies use similar stuff.
Right, and finding those potential cost savings early by consolidating it. That's often a quick win you want to identify.
Makes sense. So you've done the homework, you understand the IT landscape. What's the next big strategic piece?
Okay, now you need to decide how you're going to handle the IT integration. Or maybe it's a separation, depending on the deal. What's the game plan?
Right, the roadmap. And Scaled Solutions Group lays out a few paths. You could go for full integration, everything on one system eventually.
Or maybe just partial integration. Keep some systems separate for good reasons.
And we can't forget IT carve-outs. Super important if you're selling off part of a business. You need to cleanly untangle its IT.
And that happens a lot in the lower middle market, that kind of divestiture activity.
Yeah, it's pretty dynamic.
So the key thing here is mapping it all out. A detailed transition roadmap. What does day one look like? Day one readiness is huge.
Crucial.
And what are the longer-term IT goals? For smaller organizations, even a short IT hiccup can be, crippling.
Scaled Solutions Group really hits on identifying the core business systems, ERP, CRM, HR, finance stuff. Which ones stay, which go, which get merged.
They even mentioned Epicor Prophet 21 as an example ERP companies might move to.
Right. And then you need to sort out the post-merger IT governance. Who's in charge? What's the structure? How do the teams work together?
Yeah, merging smaller IT teams, maybe with different cultures, that takes careful handling.
Okay, so you have the strategy, the roadmap. Now we get into the wires and boxes phase, infrastructure and network integration.
Pretty much. The goal here is to get everything talking to each other efficiently and securely. Build that solid foundation.
Got it. Scaled Solutions Group talks about unifying the network, so things like VPNs, firewalls, maybe even SD-WAN for better performance.
Right. And deciding on hosting. Are you going cloud, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or keeping things on-premise?
Cloud scalability is often a big plus for growing lower middle market companies, I'd imagine.
It definitely can be. Then you need secure connections between sites and strong cybersecurity measures.
Scaled Solutions Group mentions zero trust, basically. Trust no one, verify everything.
And things like EDR or XDR for endpoint security.
Yeah.
Even smaller targets need that level of protection now.
Absolutely. And finally, disaster recovery and backup. You need a new plan for the combined entity.
Oh yeah, losing critical data. That could be game over for a small business.
Okay, let's shift to the software itself, the applications. Scaled Solutions Group talks about consolidation and migration here, goal being streamline things.
Exactly. Get rid of redundant software. Make sure everything works together smoothly. Boost efficiency.
So you look at your ERPs, CRMs, HR systems, BI tools, all that. See where they overlap.
And a really common big task, as Scaled Solutions Group notes, is standardizing on one ERP system.
Like maybe migrating everyone to that Epicor Prophet 21 example, or figuring out how to make different existing systems work together.
Right. But it's not just the huge systems. Think about the everyday tools, too.
Collaboration stuff.
Yeah. Scaled Solutions Group mentions standardizing things like Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, Teams, or Slack.
Yeah.
Makes teamwork much easier.
Good point. And aligning workflows, approvals, IT support systems, too. It all needs to mesh.
And all of this runs on data, which brings us to data migration and integration, a really critical step.
The main aim being moving data securely and accurately, right?
Spot on. Scaled Solutions Group explains you start with data mapping, figuring out where data from the old system goes in the new one.
Like translating between systems.
Sort of, yeah. Then you use ETL tools, extract, transform, load to actually move the data. Financials, customer info, everything.
And making sure it all arrives intact and correct must be huge. Data integrity.
Absolutely vital. You need validation quality checks. Scaled Solutions Group also talks about master data management, MDM.
What's that exactly?
Creating that single source of truth for key data, like customer lists or product catalogs, avoids inconsistencies.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. And all through this, security and compliance for the data itself remain paramount. Encryption, regulations.
Non-negotiable.
So cybersecurity isn't just an upfront check. Scaled Solutions Group sees it as an ongoing thing, obviously. Protecting assets, data, staying compliant.
Definitely. It means regular security audits, vulnerability checks, patching things up.
And managing who gets access to what identity and access management.
Right, using things like single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, basic but crucial.
And making sure your security policies line up with any compliance rules you need to follow, SOC 2, ISO 27001, whatever applies.
And using tools like a SIEM system to actively monitor for threats. Keep an eye on things.
Okay, what about the actual people using all this tech, the end users? IT support transition seems key.
Hugely important. Scaled Solutions Group says the objective is just seamless support after the deal closes. No major disruptions for employees.
So tasks like setting up one central help desk. They mentioned ServiceNow, Zendesk.
Right, unifying the support system and defining clear SLAs, service level agreements. How quickly will issues get fixed?
Setting expectations and training people on any new processes is probably essential too.
Absolutely. And Scaled Solutions Group also points to the value of a knowledge base or a self-service portal.
Ah, so people can solve simpler problems themselves.
Exactly, which could be a big help for, leaner IT teams in the lower middle market. Frees them up for bigger issues.
Good point. Communication is always vital in M&A. How did that apply to the tools themselves?
Well, Scaled Solutions Group talks about standardizing the communication and collaboration tools across the new combined company.
Okay, so unifying email onto one platform like Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, migrating everyone's mailboxes.
Yep, standardizing on Teams or Slack or Zoom for collaboration, getting everyone onto the same page, literally.
And configuring email security, obviously. Plus, migrating shared files, SharePoint, Google Drive, places like that.
Make sure everyone can find what they need.
Now, deals often bring a tangle of third-party IT contracts. How do you manage that?
Scaled Solutions Group highlights this. The goal is to align all those contracts with the new setup and ideally cut some costs.
I bet. So reviewing and maybe renegotiating SaaS subscriptions, cloud contracts, software licenses?
Definitely. For lower middle market firms, trimming those recurring IT costs can make a real difference to the bottom line.
And terminating contracts you just don't need anymore. Consolidating vendors?
Makes sense. And making sure any data sharing with vendors still meets your security standards.
So the integration's done. Day one was smooth. Is that it? Or is there more?
No, the work isn't quite over. Scaled Solutions Group talks about post-merger IT optimization and performance monitoring. It's ongoing.
Continuous improvement.
Right. Keep looking for ways to be more efficient, watch how things are running.
Like actively managing cloud spend, licenses, infrastructure costs.
Exactly. Using IT performance dashboards, maybe Power BI or Tableau, to track metrics, spot problems or opportunities.
And keeping up with cybersecurity monitoring and compliance audits, it never really stops.
It doesn't. And having formal IT continuous improvement initiatives keeps things moving forward, supporting the business goals.
So if you do all this right, according to Scaled Solutions Group, what does success look like? What are the key deliverables?
They list several key outcomes. You'd have that IT due diligence and risk report. You'd have clear IT governance and compliance alignment, a unified network and security framework, standardized business applications, including that core ERP, a solid data migration plan with validated data,
Makes sense.
a smooth-running IT service desk for user support, optimized vendor agreements and IT contracts, and that overarching cybersecurity and compliance framework in place.
That's quite a list.
It is, and the main takeaway from Scale Solutions Group is pretty clear. Whether it's full integration, partial, or a carve-out, you need that strategic planning, careful execution, and ongoing monitoring.
Especially in the lower middle market.
Absolutely. That's how you minimize disruption and really get the maximum value out of the M&A deal itself.
Okay, so we've really covered a lot of ground there on the critical IT projects and M&A, thanks to the insights from Mike P. at Scaled Solutions Group, LLC, from that initial due diligence all the way to optimizing things post-merger.
Infrastructure, apps, data, security support, communication, vendors, it touches everything.
It really does, and it seems undeniable that getting the IT integration right is fundamental to M&A success, particularly when resources might be a bit tighter, like in the lower middle market.
And that structured IT roadmap Scaled Solutions Group emphasizes. It seems like your most vital tool for navigating all that complexity.
Yeah, winging it sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Definitely increases the risk of, well, costly problems and not getting the value you expected.
Right. So on that note, here's something to think about. In that specific lower middle market context where maybe you don't have huge internal IT teams or endless budgets, which of these areas we discussed, due diligence, integration planning, data migration, security, whatever, which one do you think gets underestimated or overlooked the most often?
That's a good question.
And what could be a biggest fallout from dropping the ball on that specific area? Something for you, our listeners, to consider as you navigate the complex world of mergers and acquisitions.
Acquiring a business? BizNexus simplifies it. Access thousands of updated opportunities in our DIY marketplace or supercharge team sourcing with OmniSource, your all-in-one platform for on-market, off-market, and coming-soon deals. Scale smarter today. Learn more or book a demo at www.biznexus.com.